Hacktivists say they hacked Belarus rail system to stop Russian military buildup.
Here's a summary of the article.
Hacktivists in Belarus said on Monday they had infected the network of the country's state-run railroad system with ransomware and would provide the decryption key only if Belarus President Alexander Lukashenko stopped aiding Russian troops ahead of a possible invasion of Ukraine. A representative from the group said in a direct message that the Peklo cyber campaign targets specific entities and government-run companies with the goal of pressuring the Belarus government to release political prisoners and stop Russian troops from entering Belarus to use its ground for the attacks on Ukraine. According to reports like this one, Russia has been sending military equipment and personnel by rail into Belarus, which shares a border with Ukraine. Bels HD Live, a group of Belarus railway workers that tracks activity on the 5,512 km railway, said on Friday that in a week's time, more than 33 Russian military trains loaded with equipment and troops had arrived in Belarus for joint strategic exercises there. Video also surfaced on social media Monday showing Russian military convoys and trains with military equipment moving across southern Russia and Belarus. Juan Andrés Guerrero Sard, principal threat researcher at security firm SentinelOne, said he was unable to confirm the ransomware attack but that the images provided appeared to confirm someone gained privileged access to Belarus Railways network. The Cyber Partisans representative said it wasn't hard to access the Belarus Railways network.
This post received a score of 8,300, with an upvote ratio of 97%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
That's one way to prevent a world-ending war in Europe. Lol. Release of the 50 political prisoners who are most in need of medical assistance. Preventing the presence of Russian troops on the territory of Belarus.
Greater than automation and security systems were not affected to avoid emergency situations. I know nothing about their systems, but curious why they can't just operate it in emergency mode and get past this.
I am not an expert on Belarusian infrastructure, but most transit systems running on emergency mode have much lower capacity and it requires a lot more effort, making invasion logistics nearly impossible. That said, who knows what they have going on there or the degree to which this is true.
Greater than making invasion logistics nearly impossible. Well, they'd have to go back to pre-computer manual timetables and coordination. WW2 logistics were fascinating. Nowhere near impossible. But to set it up from scratch in a timely manner is very challenging.
All the 100-year-old ex-railway men have jobs again?
I can see the montage already of them being recruited.
Wonder if Bruce Willis wants to star in Anther movie.
Wants to? No. Will turn up on set for the day, for a $250,000 check? Yes.
So would these individuals ever face legal action outside of Russia's sphere of influence for doing this?
Legal? No. Extrajudicial killing? Oh yes.
He died of breaching COVID restrictions. Cough Myanmar.
Could we get more of this? Hackers using ransomware against authoritarian governments instead of my grandparents.
You sure your grandparents are not authoritarian leaders?
It's pretty funny to see this tactic being used against Russia, Belarus, since they have groups doing ransomware on the US. I hope they can make this stick for a while, but it seems the US at least usually resolves it in less than a week, though granted sometimes that's from paying the ransom.
The big difference here is that the ransom is effectively unpayable, by design. Lukashenko is 100% subservient to Putin, and, in order to pay the ransom, he'd have to tell Putin to pound sand, which would inevitably end up with a deposed Lukashenko. This way, Russia's local movement will be greatly impeded for as long as it takes them to find partial workarounds, which will be a little while.
Should we be suspicious that this is actually just a false flag by Russia to justify whatever countermeasure comes of this?
I think if it were a Russian false flag, the headlines would be, Russia alleges NATO, US responsible for cyber attack. That's not to say they won't seize this as a justification for further militarization. I just think that if it was a Russian false flag, they would have been ahead of the story before it was attributed to a group of hacktivists in Western media.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.